Good day, students. My name is Odufeso Tajudeen. Student, you are welcome to Odufeso Tajudeen online class. I'm your economics teacher. Today, we want to look at channels of distribution. Channel of distribution. At the end of this class, students, at the end of this class, you should be able to define channel of distribution. You should be able to mention different types of channels of distributions. You should be able to define wholesalers. You should be able to state any four functions of wholesalers and list any three functions of a retailer that you know. Okay. Now, what is channel of distribution? Productions start from the creations of utility, the creations of goods and services, and where those goods uh, were being can be found, or where they can be used to the final before it get to the final consumer. It has stages, and before we get to that, let's quickly explain channels of distribution. It's a chain of businesses or intermediaries through which a product, like I've said it, through which a goods or a commodities pass to the final consumer or get to the final consumer. It can include the wholesalers, retailers, distributors, middlemen before it get to the final consumer. And in fact, we can even use what we call the internet. A distribution channel can be short or long, and it depends on the amount of intermediary required to deliver a product or a commodity to the final consumer. So what are we talking about? We are talking about channels of distribution. It is a chain where goods pass to the final consumer, from the manufacturers or producers to wholesalers, wholesalers to retailer, retailer to the final consumer. And that is what we call channels of distribution. Okay. Now, we have different types of a channel of distribution. As you can see on your screen, product, commodities from the manufacturers or producers, it get to the wholesalers. Before the final consumer can get to the from the wholesaler, from the retailer, the retailer will get it from the wholesalers, and the final consumer will get it from the retailer. At times, final consumer can get their product right from the producer. So we'll get to that. Okay, let's continue. So look at this chart. It's actually talking about um channels of distributions. Talking about channels of distribution where we have producers, and producer can also call manufacturers, wholesalers, retailer before it get to the final consumer. This is another examples, as you can see on your screen, distribution channel, or channels of distribution, or you call it chains of distribution. As you can see, the manufacturers, which can also call uh, producers. From the producers, goods get to the wholesalers. The wholesalers buy goods in bulk and sell it in bid to the retailer to what? Final consumer. So this is another chart talking about distributions of goods, distributions of commodity from the manufacturer to the final consumer. So look at the channels functions. Each channel of distribution has their own functions. Right from the information, producer get information from the retailer. They also get information from the wholesalers and the final consumer. They communicate, they negotiate, they order goods, and they make transaction. you know Both of them, all of them, they are risk takers. They involve risk, but the producers ask a lot of risk, during the productions. taking those goods to the wholesalers before it get to the final consumer. So these are the functions of the channels of distribution. Now let's start from the number one channels of distribution, which is manufacturers, or you call it producer. Producers are the groups of persons who produce either goods or services for creating utility, or for the creations of goods and services. They are usually produced within the helps of all factors of productions. Okay, now let's move to the wholesalers. Wholesalers are persons or firms that buy goods in large quantity from the various manufacturers, from various producers, warehouse the goods and resell them to the retailer in a smaller quantity rather than to the final consumer. Wholesalers are intermediary entities in the distributions of goods, and they can also call middlemen. So we are still coming to explain that. Now let's uh, talk about some of the functions of wholesaler. Wholesaler buy goods and assemble them. They have what we call warehousing, where they can store their goods. They have gardens and packing strategies. They also involve in transportation, moving of those goods to the final consumer or to the retailers. Okay, they also finance. They helps manufacturers to get money for the productions of goods and services. They also are involved in risk bearing. They also take information to the manufacturers. They also distribute goods and services. They also advertise, those goods that producer is producing to the public, either by televisions or anywhere or verbally. So these are the functions of wholesalers. Now let's talk about retailer. Retailers are the mediators between the wholesalers and consumers, and retailers can also call middlemen. So middlemen are wholesalers and retailers that buy goods from their manufacturers and sell it to the final consumer. Now let's talk about the functions of retailer to consumers. So they take goods to the final consumer as a matter of convenience. They also sell in credit, as you can see on your screen. They also introduce new product to the consumers. They will take goods to various consumers at their various home. They also involve in cash discounts. They involve in special advice. They involve in a special individual treatment. They also supplies of fresh products to the final consumer. They returns goods. They also create goods and services uh, for the purpose of consumer. So, and the last stage of the last channels of distribution is what we call consumers. Consumers are people who buy or sell, who buy or use goods and services to satisfy their wants. You are consumer, I am a consumer. We consume goods here and there. We buy goods from the retailers. We also buy goods from the wholesalers and the producers. They buy goods and services primarily for consumptions and not for resale, because we are the one using those goods. Okay, these are some of the functions of consumer. As you can see on your screen, a consumer is the one that buy goods for consumptions. They are individual who buy some amount of money, amount of goods with amount of money, and they use those goods. Consumer play vital roles in the development of business in the country, as you can see on your screen. So these are the functions of each of the channels of distribution. They involve in payment. They also involve in transfer of money. They also gather information. They also communicate to each other. They also negotiate, as you can see on your screen. These are the functions of each of channels of distribution. Student, I hope you understand the topic very well. Can you tell me what is channels of distribution? Oh, beautiful. Can you tell me some of the channels of types of channels of distribution? Okay. What is wholesalers? As you can see on your screen. Student, thank you and God bless you. Before you go, take this assignment. You can do it at the back of your notes or you get back to me on WhatsApp for the purpose of correction. So then, thank you and God bless you. Bye bye.